All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I think they're all set up over there. Looks like it. So I'm going to introduce you, Sam. So Sam Nortey received his PhD from Kwame Nkrumah. Did you say that, Nkrumah?
Yeah, Nkrumah, yes.
Nkrumah, University of Science and Technology. He's also an associate professor at that same institution. He's published lots and lots of journals, and some of the articles deal with Ghana clay practices, traditional African arts, glaze formulation, contemporary ceramic art education, lots and lots, too many to mention. And then he's also spoke at NCECA conference, the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts, where he spoke last year, which was in Sacramento. But I actually met Sam when I was visiting Ghana over the summer, and I saw his institution and met with Sam, and I was just really impressed, not only with the quality of work that they were doing, but the education that they were receiving. And then also, you know, the curriculum that Sam was instituting, I was quite impressed. And then also I was really impressed with Sam. He's incredibly intelligent, very fun and kind person, and just very, very impressed all overall. And so when I toured, I was also just surprised at the length to which they have to go to actually make art. And it just made me feel really spoiled, and I'm a little sheepish maybe. But so because of that, I just really wanted to, you know, keep the connection alive with Sam, and then also bring a little bit of that back to the classroom, because it was really impressive and interesting and quite different than what we do, and in ways very, very similar. So without further ado, please welcome Sam Nortey.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, thank you. And I'm going to talk about how Ghanaian artists or our students process their material for work, and also how I interact with my students in their studio, and also show a few of my works. So I'm speaking on digging to bargain. The hands are not for begging. You've already introduced me. I'm an associate professor in ceramics at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. It's the same institution where I studied my BA ceramics and also obtained a PhD in African art and culture, writing more in cultural anthropology. I've been involved in some sort of solo and group exhibition as well, and also a chair for KNUST Faculty of Art conferences and publications. I have a setup of my Google Scholar citations. It takes you straight, when I go, it takes you straight to all these articles that I have been able to publish with my citation index. And I try to do my bit wherever I research on. I try to write on so that it could improve. Did you lose me?
Just for a second, but keep going.
Okay. Is it back? Yeah.
Yeah, it's back. You're totally back.
Okay, yeah. So that's it. Apart from the studio artwork and stuff, I've published with Jet of African Arts, Art Education, Studio Porter in America as well, in Sika and others as well. I've also served as a keynote speaker in local and international conferences. Apart from that, on the social aspect, I'm also a church choir director. I sing in church, and I am an organist. This is just a short video of me playing the organ in church, and this is from George Frederick Handel, Lago from Exorcist. And on my quiet time, I love playing the organ. For the want of time, I'll just have to skip. But so let me talk a bit about Ghana, my country, where I come from. Ghana is a country of West Africa, situated on the coast of the Gulf of Guinea. Although we are relatively small in population, not compared to America, the US, Ghana is one of the leading countries of Africa, partly because of the wealth and because of our Black history and what we have been able to achieve from colonial rule after the British ruled us. We love art, and our art includes dance and music. We have ceramics, we have sculpture, metal, textiles, and these things. We learn them in our universities, right from the scratch in the primary and basic school. They also study all these art forms. Contemporary Ghana is growing now. We are getting to the global platform, and in 2019, Ghana was given a pavilion at the Venice Biennale, and we had very quite interesting reviews. So that is the map of Ghana, and I'm showing this map in relationship to ceramic materials that we have, and you could see that in all these regions, we have about 16 regions in Ghana. I think US will say states, we will say regions, and I live in the region J. That's where my university is, and there's a lot of clay deposits. Well, actually, in Ghana, every region there are abundance of clay deposits. There are other ceramic materials such as feldspar, silica, limestone, dolomite, manganese that we use, and kaolin that we use. And this map shows that in these regions we can acquire these materials from the primary source, actually, from the primary source. So how do you get clay in Ghana? In Ghana, if you want to get clay, the site, the land actually belongs to the chief and elders of the town in which the clay is found. So if you want to get a clay, if I want to produce my work as an artist or for my students, we need to go to the town. And in Ashanti region, we go to a town called Imfensi, where we meet the chief and the land committee, and we offer a bottle of schnapp, that something like a whiskey, and then we request to buy the land at a cost. They sell in cubic. So each academic year, we go for about 40 cubic at 6,000 Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to, let's say, $500 or $600. And transportation from that place to the university could cost us about 4,000. That is where actually is expensive. So this year we spent about 10,000 Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to $1,000 on clay and transportation. And we use this clay for the entire year, for the 2 semesters plus vacation. Both faculty and students use this clay in producing their work. So that's me standing on the clay pit.
So Sam, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we don't hear the sound from the video.
Oh, okay, all right. Then I have to talk. So I'm the clay pit. What I'm doing is that I was showing the video of when we collect the clay. So if I want to produce a work, I get into this pit and I dig this clay into the wheelbarrow over there. Sometimes I have a student helping me out. If the student wants to do the work, I say the student has to go in there and dig the clay. And so this video shows us when we get the clay from the original site, we bring it to the university into a clay pit. We allow it to season, and then we dig. So that is what the video is about. Now I get the clay. You can see that now I'm into the studio now, and I get the clay into the studio, and I'm going to use the pack mill to pack the clay to make it more compact and more homogeneous. So as you can see in the video, I am digging out what I took from the pit onto the working table, and that is quite a task for us. I realize that in the US, maybe you get people supplying you the clay. We don't have that industry doing that, so you need to work it out yourself. So that is me again trying to pack the clay. I put on the machine, and that's a pack mill, and it's been with us for over 60 years now. So I if the clay is too hard, I dip into the water and I push it into the machine. There is a die in the machine that turns, that revolves, and then makes it very compact and homogeneous. So you could see from the extrusion, the clay dropping from the comes out from the pad mill, and that is how. And then it will be ready for you to start your rolling and everything you wanted to do. So it takes quite a process for you to get your clay down. You could see me getting down, and then to pick, yeah, it drops, then I pick it to my working area, then I start working with it. Again, there is feldspar. I don't know whether feldspar in a rocky state, that is feldspar in a rocky state. I'm trying to break it down. I use feldspar to make my glazes, or sometimes reduce the temperature. So that is feldspar. You need to break it down. Then afterwards, I crush them using the crusher, the jaw crusher. So you can see that what I'm doing, I'm feeding the crusher with the bulky feldspar. It breaks it down. I collect it down with a bowl. Yeah, that's the bowl. It comes out that good, not too refined. So from this, I move on to the pulverizer. I put into the pulverizer, and the pulverizer makes it more powdery, and it will be ready for my glaze preparation. There is also manganese that we get from the mines. Mines in Ghana, we have mines, and we use this manganese to give our works some archaic, let's say, archaic features. Makes it looks like antique, very antique, and it's also good when you want to put your sculptures outside and there's weather raiding and stuff. It helps in protecting the work, and that is one material as well. On that note, that is the material preparation aspect, although I've not tackled it. I want to talk a little bit about how I work with my students. I design a teaching philosophy that allows a very close knit with my students, and then to give more room for explorations. So I make sure that when my students are working in the studio, I always pass by to see what they are doing and try to offer assistance. I do learn from them, they do learn from them. There's this cross fertilization. I always emphasize on creativity and building on both traditional and contemporary theories. I make them read what people are doing. I make them read what they can learn from what others have done. I make them strike new spaces. Mostly, I make them juxtapose their own histories that are associated with their life and how they can build on technologies. Periodically, I get involved in their production. No, this is not the way to go about it. Can you try this other means and stuff like that? So there is a very close relationship, and that's one of the work of my third year BFA student. That is Stephen. He is one of my students, and this is the work we're doing just this September, just last week. I'm showing very current works, and Stephen is working on different techniques, how we can use throwing, slabbing, pinching, using the balls together in one piece. And that is how I work with. I go around and I try to help them and figure out what they are doing, so they can also talk about what their concept and stuff are. So that is Stephen, is just an third year undergraduate student. That is also Matilda. Matilda now is having issues with how to go about decorating this piece. It's ceramic work, and I go around. Sometimes I demonstrate. So I demonstrate that you can do the cutting this way, and at the end, that is the finished work of Matilda. She finished the work yesterday after going through these finishing techniques. One major thing I will say here is that we have over 200 BFA undergraduate students in KNUST, but we have only one firing kiln. Over 200 students, one firing kiln. So there is a lot of waiting time for somebody's work to be fired. We've tried, but there is no assistance anywhere. So after each firing, we mend the elements and then we fire again. And that has been one of the challenges with studying ceramics in Ghana. So that's Matilda, and that is a work. That is also Ernest. If you could see the beautiful work, we are trying to do something taller than us, trying to use geometric repetitions. I had a lecture with them talking about Walter Benjamin and his mechanical reproductions and repetitions and geometric shapes. We also learned concepts from China when they were building their ceramic, and now geometric shapes, forms, aspects of their designs and stuff. So I make these influence their work. On the top, you could see a traditional symbol of Ghana, Jinyami. And so we try to fuse these contemporary and traditional design concepts. And that's a third year student. That is also masking system. I research on masking system where I publish in African art, and I think this one had an influence on Jeremiah, who was trying to put masking system on the forms. And I'm delighted. Sometimes I have influence on my students on the way to go about it. Despite they also have their own ingenuity and they work on their own, and we guide them to perfection. So a little bit, I'll talk a little bit about my work now. In fact, I address myself as a three-dimensional thinker, and with this trait, I visualize issues within my society or community. I like my work to speak about what is happening within my immediate community. So social practice is actually the main theme of my research and studio practice. I see art as a creative process and allow a very deep interaction and spur innovations in forms. I read a lot about contemporary art theories and the articles that I have, like the global, and once upon a time I was even influenced by Foucault's panopticon, where surveillance and stuff. I also like to leave my work in a terracotta state, since we have a challenge of acquiring glazes, and maybe because of the cane to mature glazes, I try to leave my work in the terracotta, in the color of the original clay that I use. So this is a current. I don't know whether Becky, when you came to Ghana, you realize that Ghanaians actually have issues with time. I don't know. When they say they will start something at 9, they'll start at 11 or 10. This is. I remember when Ginny Yulin, a Fulbright scholar, Professor Ginny Yulin from the University of Arkansas, visited Ghana and was with us for a Fulbright a year. That was her first comment. She was invited to a party reception. Then the invitation card says the thing start at 1 p.m. Ginny was there 12:45 p.m. to make sure everything is fine. The party started at 3:30 p.m. 3 hours, and Ginny said, "Wow, why?" And she says, "Why? don't we? So I do works to speak about issues about, and you could see in this work, I've used the um, if you look at it, it's like I'm deconstructing the clock of Africa. That is the African map, actually. But if you look closely at the the clock there, there's a state of confusion. There is four. There's 1, 4, 11, 9, 6, 8, 12. I'm trying to be metaphoric here that the clock here, African time, it seems to be an issue or a state of confusion that you could not read the time very well. And this is something I hope that as people engage with this artwork, they will rethink and be very punctual in their timing. And so that is what I'm going to do. It's not a finished work, actually. It's going to be a mixed media. I'm going to appropriate it so well, and when I finish, the outcome will be great. I hope so. This is also one of the issues. These are my ceramic sculptures, and I named this work In Pursuit of Greener Pastures. People have been looking for ways to look for greener pastures. Well, I love that. We all want to look for greener pastures somewhere. But sometimes the question I ask myself, where is the grass greenest? Where is the grass greenest? From where you sit. So if you look at this installation at the back, you could see I have been able to use ceramic to produce a carpet grass at the background. And there are sculptures, and with the back, people traveling, leaving the greener area, thinking that there is a greener pasture somewhere. But for me, I believe the hands are not for begging. The hands are to be used to work. And wherever you are, if you find yourself and you're able to work well, then there will be greener pastures wherever you are. So this work actually, In Pursuit of Greener, is a ceramic installation representing individuals and communities who migrate from one place to another, even at the peril of their lives, in order to make a living. In the global and capitalist world, where displacement of various communities due to gentrification and colonial legacies, there is a need for us to depend on each other. But wherever you are, you need to make that place green. So if I find myself in the University of Nevada, I make sure I do my work very well and make that place a greener pasture. If I find myself in KNUST, we shouldn't have the notion that it is greener at the other side. And that is what this work. So you could see in this sculpture, my ceramic sculpture explores the understanding of what exists in the communities and the decisions we take with regards to looking for greener pastures. Robert Fulghum quotes that the grass is not, in fact, always greener at the other side of the fence. No, not at all. Fences have nothing to do with it. We need to work, and that is what. And after this installation and the exhibitions, I've realized that people are beginning to think that, because in Ghana, people think some regions are better than the other regions. So it thinks that I can move from region K to region M because it's better in region M. But it is not. It's because people in region M are actually working hard to make that place greener. And that is what the message is. My other work, actually, where I did with the answer, not for begging, is deconstructing the ants, the Benin terracotta heads, as well as the ancestral heads in Africa. I recontextualize these forms into the very ants that made these classic pieces. You could see these are very natural states of my own ants. I deconstructed my own ants to show that there is no need for us to go begging. Ghana, I was actually speaking about issues of Ghana. Ghana is endowed with gold. We used to be called Gold Coast because we had gold, actually. We also had cocoa. And we can replicate this in other regions, as in other countries as well, where there are a lot of resources that one can harness and become profitable. But we give out these resources, and then we tend to beg for the end product of these same resources. And so it's like you're sitting on gold, yet you are begging for silver. So this is an interaction with an exhibition where I had people coming around and talking about the fact that we don't need not just begging on the street, but even countries and governments going to people capping, and when they have rich resources that they can work on. So as I've said, my work actually is mostly on speaking on social issues that bother the communities. So how long must we continue begging when hard work and judicious utilizations of resources can provide a stable economy for the society and nation at large? The hands indeed are not for begging, but for cultivation and transformation of abundant resource towards a sustainable world. And that is my message. I would like to thank you very much, especially Professor Rebecca Bogard of the University of Nevada for this short but concise presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. That was wonderful. It's so good to see your work and also that of your students' work and your challenges. So if anyone has a question, you can think about what it is. But so Sam, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And what was it that drew you to ceramics? How did you discover ceramics, and how did you know that that was the material you wanted to work with?
Thank you very much. In Ghana, during our basic school, after each term examination, there is what we call art and craft. Somebody has to, you need to do a work and then send it to the teacher, something creative, and then send it to them. And then I realized that there were so many medium to use. Some use wood to carve. Some even use tins of can. And we tried all these things. Some use even corn husk, but we realized that clay was more malleable, and it reacts to whatever you ask it to do. I also read some portion of scriptures that said that man was made of clay. Mm-hmm. Man was made of clay from the Bible, and I said, wow, then we will start using clay as so. And it was a material that was readily available in the various communities that we lived in, and it was easily to fetch. So that's one thing that drew me to ceramics. But when I got to the university, I was in fact motivated by some of my professors, J.K. Amwa, Kofi Asante, who were using clay in doing very traditional pieces. And I fell in love with that, and I realized that in second year, normally in the university in Ghana, we all go into a foundation first year, then in second year you major, and that's one thing that drew me to it. The material is rich. You tell the material when it fired, the colors that come out, there were different colors and stuff like that. And I realized that having a ceramic body, is quite an interesting thing, and that was what drew me to ceramics.
Okay, and I have a couple other questions. So I was also, I'm struck by the concept of your work, and, the hands are not for begging and they're for working. And so I was quite struck when I was in Africa, the amount, people really work hard there, it seems like. And it seems like everyone is an entrepreneur. Everybody has like their own business. Everyone is doing a hustle, right? And so I mean, is that sort of hard? I mean, because I don't think of people as being lazy there at all.
Well, that's why I said that that work was really conceptual. I was not actually targeting those who beg on the street, but I was talking about the government.
Can you elaborate?
So in the work, I use cowrie. Cowrie is a resource. Cowrie in Ghana depicts wealth. we are sitting on gold, yet begging for silver. Becky, in Ghana, we have so many rich materials, just like feldspar. There is no industry processing feldspar to provide. We have kaolin, there is no. But I tell you, we have given all these out to outsiders who are mining these things and bring them back. We have rich cocoa, but chocolate is expensive here. People come to exploit this cocoa, take them back, make the chocolate, and bring them back to us and sell exorbitantly, very expensive. So, and then we go back to these same people begging for support. So the answer not for begging actually is for just some portion of people who actually go to the street begging, and also the government who go to the Bretton Woods institutions, always going for loans and stuff. Yet we have the resources here. We have the oil. We have oil. Yet we go for loans outside. We have cocoa, which is for chocolate and stuff. Yet we buy chocolate exorbitantly from outside. There are so many resources around Ghana, and we are not able to profit. So the answer not for begging. It's not actually. It's very conceptual, not actually for just those on the street, but it is for the government and communities as well. So that is.
Okay, thank you for explaining that to me. That's super interesting and amazing. Okay, so then I have another question. What do your first semester students learn how to do in your classes? And then also I wonder, like, are they responsible to dig their clay out of the pit and pug that? Do you teach them how to do that, or do you teach them to do that at a later stage because maybe those machines are dangerous?
Yeah. For first years, we take them through training, but from third year to final, you need to dig yourself and then present your own material. So for first year, it's simply an introduction to the course, and so but for someone like Ernest, this work he had to really go to the pit, dig and process and do it yourself. Third year, final year, you do it yourself. First year, second year, we take you through training, and then there's guidance and stuff like that. So that is it.
So when you go into the countryside and dig the clay to bring it to school, do you have just like a team of students, or how do you do that?
All right. Okay. So with getting the clay to the site, we do not go with the students. But as a lecturer, I have some techs. I work with them, some technicians, workers, staff who work in the studio. We go to the chief and we get it into a big truck. So they dig into the truck, and then we do the payment, and then we bring it to the studio. But when it gets to the studio and it gets into the pit, it is the student who will take it out from the pit. Yeah. But we also organize field trips. We take them to those sites every year. I'm in charge of that. It's one of my courses I teach. I teach traditional ceramics, and we go to those sites. And so they know the place where we dig from. In fact, you can buy from so many places. But I think the closest is in Fancy. One of the challenges we have now that those sites that we get our clay from, people are now building houses on them. That is going to be one future challenge, because the lands are now being sold for residential buildings and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay, Richard, does anyone have any questions over there?
Are we on mute?
Nope, you're not. I can hear you.
Oh, I just a technical question with traditional African ceramics. What temperature do you fire to?
850 degrees Celsius.
What cone would that be?
What cone?
So that's the difference. I don't know why you
So you don't use ceramic cones to fire. How do you tell the temperature of your kiln?
because the kiln itself is set automatically.
You program it.
Yes,
Okay.
programmed it automatically for just our basic firing, because our temperature, our kiln cannot go beyond 1100.
And so that's Celsius.
Yes, Celsius. Yes, I think you people use Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, we use it. Yeah. So did you say you usually fire to 50 degrees Celsius?
No, 850.
850. I see.
850. Yeah, 850.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll do the conversion. We'll figure it out.
okay.
None of us are math people, but that's what the computer is for. All right. Are there any other questions out there, Richard?
I have a question. This is Terry. Hi.
Hi, Terry.
So you said you have 200 students in one kiln. I think I had a couple questions about that. Number one, are those 200 students, are they all ceramic students?
Yes, please.
And then they are? Wow. And then my other question is there opportunity to maybe write grants or get funding to bring in another kiln for you? And how big is that one kiln that you're using?
Thank you. Is that Miriam, or what's your name, please?
Terry.
Her name.
What?
Becky, you can probably tell them.
So it's Terry. She spells it T-E-R-I.
Oh, Terry. Okay, Terry. Terry, thank you very much for your question and your concern about KNUST ceramics. In fact, yes, we have first year, second year, third year, and final year, and in each class, the list is about 46. I think the first years are about 46. The second years are about a little above 50. And then the third years are around the same figure. So when you put all together from first to fourth year, we have close to 200 students against one kiln. We manage. So what we do is that it is not all the works that one produces that is fired. Yeah. So if you finish and it's assessed, we assess their work before the work are fired. So we examine the work in their green state, and then if we feel that it's competitively it's not too good, we send it back to the pit, and we use the clay again. Sorry, but that's how it has to be. Even we have only 5 potters reel, and we keep working on them. There's only 2 working well, and there is no funding, unfortunately. The university actually, it looks like it doesn't really care about art and stuff. We are even blessed that your professor, Becky, and some few women in America have come together, and we are looking at how we can assist in getting us a kiln maybe over from the US. When I visited the University of Arkansas, the School of Art, I realized that they had over 24 kilns. I was shocked, surprised, with lesser students. And back is the opposite here. More students, less kiln. So there is a waiting time, always a waiting time to do that. And even after each kiln, after each firing, we had to mend the elements and then start all over again. So with firing, we are very particular about it. We let the technicians handle the firing. We do not get the students too much involved in the firing. Maybe they can send the work to the firing room, but we don't get them really involved there.
Yeah, so there's a committee of us across the U.S. that are trying to help them figure out to get some sort of funding, and it seems like it's Jenny, I think, from the University of Arkansas, that's really kind of helped a lot because she's done a Fulbright. She spent a year or something there in Ghana.
Yes, and so Jenny, and the husband Adam as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they think they can get a kiln donated, but the problem with that is that it'll cost, I don't know, as much as the kiln costs just to ship it there. I mean, shipping stuff to Africa is really expensive. And so it's not a good situation.
And what size of kiln, how big is the kiln and maybe cubic feet that you run right now?
I wanted to show a video of the,
Okay.
but I don't know whether I have it here, of the kiln, but the work you see on the screen, the work that I'm sharing, can you see that work?
Yeah.
That work cannot fit into the kiln. So you could look at it carefully. There is a line we cut.
Yeah.
We cut and then, so it's just, let's say 4 feet, 5 feet.
That's good. I mean, and you guys don't use feet. You do like the metric system, and which I assume, which is not what we do, but that's great. I mean, so it's pretty big kiln.
And one more question about the kiln thing. How often do you fire the kiln per semester?
Very often. Very. It takes 2 days to get to the maturing temperature. It takes 2 days to get it there. Then we allow it to cool, open, unpack, and then pack, and it starts again. So let's say in a week we do 2 cycling firing in a week.
Yeah, so it's just fired on. You're firing it all the time.
Yes, we are firing all the time because there is only one kiln, and
Yeah.
the student number plus faculty also working and stuff. So and one more serious thing in the secondary schools, what you call high school, those doing ceramics in a high school do not have kilns, so they all rely on our kiln. We do the firing for them and stuff for them. So we try to build for someone like me. We've gone around trying to build kilns for them, but it's not huge, and we try to build kilns for them. And these kilns, mostly in these rural areas where there is no electricity, it has to be fuel efficient. Maybe firewood kiln or maybe oil, and they can't afford oil, so maybe they have to use firewood, and sometimes these things affect. So in the traditional setting outside the university, they use more of the pit firing, pit firing, where they pack all the waste, and normally these things come with a lot of damages after firing because of the nature, or you don't get even circulation of the temperature in the oven.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, any other questions out there? Okay,
so it means that Terry, you are lucky to have a lot of kilns, right? Terry, are you a student or faculty?
I teach beginning ceramics here, and I don't know how many kilns we have, like 5?
Probably 5 kilns.
We have 5.
You have what, 5, and how many students?
All four sections, 60 students.
16.
60.
60. Oh, okay. That's quite a number too, right?
Yeah, so our kilns, we've fired Richard fires my kilns for me. We fired once this semester so far, twice.
Once?
Twice.
For a semester? Why?
Well, we fire more than that in a semester. So the beginning of the semester is slow. We're waiting for them to work. And then it's towards the end of the semester that we'll start firing their work. And so I mean, we don't have a problem. We have an abundance of kilns. I feel so guilty and rich.
And how do you get your clay? Is it supplied? How do you get your clay?
Yeah, it's already pulverized. All of our clay bodies are already pre-pulverized, and then we get it in 50-pound bags. So
dry.
Then you just have to mix them and
Just
Okay.
add water, yeah.
And so Richard pugs all our clay, so it comes all pre-mixed in 50-pound bags of dry stuff, and then he slakes them in buckets with water for, I don't know, maybe a month, and then he runs them through the pug mill. And so none of my students, so we only provide 2 different clay bodies, and one's a low fire and one's a high fire. And then the advanced students have the option to make their own. And so we have a clay mixer and behind our studio. And so we have all these chemicals, but they're all dry and pulverized and beautiful. And they just like weigh it out and put it in the mixer and mix it up. And then they don't pug it, they just have to wedge it, which is fine. I mean, you should be able to wedge it.
Oh, okay. So they are very lucky.
They are.
We sometimes we allow our students to explore more on the material, sometimes to make a body that even will withstand more than maybe a refractory material. We have some courses that you need to make your own material. So you take a bit of this clay, take a bit of this clay, and maybe sometimes we have to call on maybe the industry to try these clays and then fire to see whether they will be able to. Sometimes we try to make crucibles for the mining industry. So it needs that you need to do something that we can use to melt gold so they can withstand higher temperature. So we explore the nature of our ceramics here. Actually, the program is like we entertain a bit of science as well in the study. They must know the content of the material. For example, the amount of oxides, the amount of alumina, silica, and stuff like that. So you know your material very, very well. So you know the shrinkage that will take place, the modulus of rupture, how compact it is, and stuff like that. So we allow them to explore to make different bodies. The only challenge is now, since the student number is increasing, these things, we decrease these things a little bit. But it's been perfect. If you get a Ghanaian student in Nevada for MFA, that would be great, because they go through the mill actually, because you need to struggle to get your materials, to even for your work to be fired. It means that it is up to that standard, because it's like a competition, not a competition actually, but if your work is not good, too good to us, the critique is sent back to the pit, they recycle the material and then we use it again, because there is no money to and that's how it is.
Yeah, so our students are very spoiled. Everything they make gets fired. And the only time we will refuse to fire something is if we think it's going to explode. But like even the work that's bad and maybe shouldn't get fired, well, we fire it. And
well, in art, there's nothing that is no good. But unfortunately, where we find ourselves, we are hard pressed with funding. In fact, there is no funding. So you need to do. Sometimes we allow them to work, and then maybe if there is a show or something, or we sell them, then they get a percentage of the, so they can also use that to pay their fees and tuition fees and maybe their accommodation or for feeding. Sometimes we allow them. Now school is on vacation and I'm working with some of the students. I'm helping them explore their identities, but they are also helping me do work. And after that, I'll make sure I give them something, I feed them and stuff like that. But it's all part of the training. And we have good students, very good students, and we have normal students, and we have those that actually don't care. But at the end of the semester, if you don't produce, you'll be sent back or repeated.
Well, I was super impressed too with all the stuff that you're teaching them, because you're teaching a lot of glaze chemistry and stuff, and that's something that we really don't offer. And so, I mean, that's definitely a pretty impressive system. And it's a shame that they don't have little test kilns or something that they can just experiment and fire with all the time.
We have a test kiln. We have a test kiln. We have a test kiln. We have a smaller one in the. I did all these videos, but I thought it's going to be longer. But we have a test kiln. Maybe when you came, I didn't show you that to you, and we use that in our small lab where we ran our experiment. Okay. So we make sure that in every research we do, we run these things before we come out with the larger aspect. But so we give them the opportunity, and perhaps because we have a lot of students, we give them a lot of group works to do, and they work in groups as well. So that's it. That's it. When you were setting up, I saw your student working. I was impressed what he was doing. The one in the white top. Yeah.
That's my first semester student, Cooper, in the background. So this is.
That's good. First year student and doing well. I like the way he's able to get the shape. If it will go a bit taller, that's great, and I love it. Cooper, thank you for showing me your work. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. I will follow you on Instagram.
One more question.
Okay.
Do you have any concerns about shortages of clay? I know, like worldwide, talc is becoming a big ask because it's being overmined right now. Or is clay pretty plentiful in the pits that you dig them out of?
We've never had shortages of clay. Actually, we run a system where we ensure that as soon as we are running, we start processing to get the next clay in. So for clay being the chief material, there has never been a shortage. Actually, there's never.
All right.
And then each year too, I organize an education trip where we go all over Ghana, going to ceramic material sites, and when we are coming back, we bring in a lot of these materials: feldspar, manganese, silica. We get them into the studio and we use them. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Well, I think we're out of time. That was a wonderful lecture, and thanks for answering all of our questions. And thank you, our audience, for being so curious and having so many good questions. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
See
much.
you later.
Thank you.